I'm an American, and I'm a monarchist. This sounds a little weird, because usually those things don't go together. It also may sound a little egotistical, because I was talking about myself. So let's move on to the subject of this video, an alternate history project I'm creating with Micahistory's channel. Links to his absolute badassery in the description. Today we are answering the question of, what if the Prussian scheme worked? For those of you who don't know, the Prussian scheme was an event in which the Prussians wanted to place one of their princes on the American throne. How does it succeed? Let's say that through the works of Alexander Hamilton and some of the more conservative members of the Continental Congress, and through a more volatile situation, the Americans finally agree to adopt a Prussian monarchy. First, let's get things straight. The scheme was highly unlikely, and it was bound to fail, so all the works of this alternate history are fiction. Even if it did succeed, there's no way to tell the United States would be a monarchy today, as even the various kings had very limited options for heirs. Let's say that the Americans have chosen King Henry I of the House of Hohenzollern to be the first king of the United States. Now, we're just going to call it the Kingdom of America. The first major effect would be the relations between the United Kingdom and Prussia would be rapidly deteriorating. Many would think of this as a Prussian takeover of America, and this would be a huge scandal. However, everything would change during the French Revolution. The British and Prussians would put aside their differences to fight against this overwhelming liberal menace to society, and perhaps this would be a good thing against France. The Kingdom of America would immediately join in on the conflict, fighting in the War of the First Coalition. This would be considered by most Americans as the First Liberation War, as they are liberating the French monarchy from a liberal rebellion and securing Prussian interests from foreign takeover. The kingdom would intervene in Haiti and various French islands in the Caribbean, and would initially support the foreigners by sending weapons and volunteers. This would change quickly when the Spanish betrayed their allies by siding with the French. The Americans would quickly invade Spanish territory, the primary land to conquer being Louisiana and the Dominican Republic. This land would be easily won by military conquest. After all, most of it isn't even fully settled. By 1797, the First Liberation War ended, and America could get back to Reconstruction. They would gain the Spanish and French Caribbean, along with the renowned territory of Louisiana. Massive celebrations would resound on the streets, as most Americans are glad and happy to see such a powerful nation resound despite its difficulties. The American nation would be massive and unstable, and as Prussia would pull out of the Second and Third Coalitions, the Kingdom of America would have to build up and work for its peace. In 1802, King Henry I would die. Convinced that a monarchy is America's only pathway to success, the Kingdom of America would choose King Augustus I to be its next leader. Under his leadership, the American nation would be peacefully developing its territory. Settlers would move west, and a new constitution would be drafted. However, said constitution wouldn't be as complete before the next American War in 1806, when Prussia joined the Fourth Coalition. The Americans would remain in the war symbolically until 1815, invading northern Mexico in the name of American expansion. Side note here, Augustus II would be crowned in 1813. Once Napoleon has fallen completely, the Kingdom of America would be granted dominance over all the territory it had under the United States in our time, taking a much shorter path. Well, that's the end of the first episode, and so we're going to move on to Meika-history's episode. It's going to be absolutely badass, and yeah, let's hope that episode will be wonderful as well. Anyways, auf Wiedersehen, because we're talking Prussia here and Prussians are German. Auf Wiedersehen, ich bin Julius Kaiser, getting stabbed by Bruce.